Okay guys, so this is going to be a quick video on why I think that as a free-to-play, you should not summon for Xiao whatsoever. You should not at all. I've waited this long to look at his banner to see that maybe if his banner was really good, then maybe you could summon. But this banner honestly is not good enough if you compare it to the current Ganyu banner that's here right now. And I highly suggest if you are free to play, summon. If you are saving for Xiao, summon for Ganyu instead. Ganyu is a much better 5-star unless Xiao gets insane buffs or something. But even with buffs, Ganyu will still be better just because she's so versatile. And the banner units, Beidou is really nice. Xinyan and Diona actually are kind of weird. Because Xinyan, you need her at C2, and Diona is kind of weird because she gets outclassed in many fields. Really many fields. Whereas in Ganyu's banner, there's Noel, which is fine, and there's Xingqiu, who's really good, and then there's Xiangling. Honestly, the fact that there's Xingqiu and Ganyu on that banner is much better than this combo here, where Xiao isn't that good of a 5-star. You're basically just summoning for Beidou. So just for people who really want to know why really quickly, I'll explain some of my reasons quickly. But for more in depth, stay tuned for a while more. So some quick reasons for why I think Xiao is a really bad choice for free-to-play players. Xiao is expensive. Xiao does not work unless you have a gene. He just doesn't work. And even then, it's kind of a pain to run him actually. Because his energy recharge is so bad. I'm really hoping they buff his energy recharge. Otherwise, he's just objectively worse than Ganyu. And even then, even if they buffed his energy, there are no good 4-star spears. Every 4-star spear for Xiao sucks. Whereas if you look at the current banner, Ganyu, there's Prototype Crescent, which is amazing. There's even a 3-star weapon, Sharpshooter's Oath, which is also amazing for her. Whereas Xiao doesn't really have a spear that works. Because every spear that's not 5-star sucks. They're not that good at all. And even then, let's say best case scenario, you have a gene to back up your Xiao. I still highly doubt that Xiao will out damage Ganyu or Klee, let's say, because of how he's built and how he works. And yeah, Xiao is just not very sustainable. That's the last reason. His HP drain is actually pretty big, and the fact that his energy is also so hard to generate, and you have to ult with him a lot for him to actually work. I do not think that Xiao is a good summon at all. You either right now summon for Ganyu or save for Hu Tao. Because Hu Tao is Xiao, but objectively better. She's much better than Xiao. And then Ganyu, I think Ganyu is just... She's so easy to build and so free-to-play friendly that Ganyu basically is a must-summon right now. She is so absolutely insane. Okay, so those were some quick reasons. Now, I'll go in depth on why I think of the reasons that I did. So here I'll discuss Xiao. Xiao has really nice base attack, which is very nice. 349 attack, pretty good. This is kind of a nerf, crit rate percent, ascension stat. I wish they kept his Anemo, because it used to be Anemo damage bonus. He really needs damage because I don't think that Xiao is going to be the hyper carry that everyone expects him to be. I think he's being very overhyped. Crit rate is nice, but Anemo damage bonus would have been better. So here, his normal attack's pretty normal. His plunge attack modifiers are pretty high. They are pretty nice. Because like level 6, low plunge 237%, and then high plunge 297%. Those are very high numbers. However, Ganyu's numbers are also very high as well. Where alright, I can look at this. Ganyu Ani impact. Yeah, if you look at Ganyu at her level 6, her explosion alone does 304%, and then her initial shot does 179%. My point being is basically Ganyu is just so good. And now Xiao, his ult, he adds damage to his plunge. I speculate on how this will work. Is that the 77% will be added to the plunge. So at level 6, instead of 297%, when his ult is active, you add by 77%, which will make it 374%, I think, which is very nice. He has an HP drain here of 2.5% current HP per second. Now 2.5 HP per second, and then his duration is 15 seconds. If you want to know how much that is, because notice how it does not say 2.5% max HP per second. It drains 2.5% current HP per second. So the way you would calculate this is you do 100 and then 1 minus 0.9. Wait, no, 0.975. I know 0.025 because that's 2.5%, and then there's 15 seconds. So you raise it up by 15, and then quick maths. The first time you transform with him, if you have 100% health, he goes down to 68. And then the second time that you do it, he goes down to 46. He goes down very quickly, so you definitely need a nice healer to help sustain him. And here's my main issue with Xiao. Energy costs 70. They have to reduce this, otherwise this is absolutely garbage. Because Xiao's E is really nice. It has really high multiplier, and it has 2 charges. My problem with it is it has 10 seconds. Now 10 second per E. Now, if you actually look at Xiao, his E is really strong to the point where his damage will mostly come from his E. There will be more damage from his E than his plunge attack, and that also gives another problem, because if you have Xiao at C0, you basically cannot utilize this E very much at all. If you have him at C0, the way you play him is you plunge. You plunge attack, and you plunge attack, and you plunge attack. But if you have him at C6, then you can finally use his E during the ult because of his C6, but we'll talk about that later. At C0, and at talent level 6, he drains a lot of HP, and then the energy cost is pretty high. His E is really his only way of generating energy. His E on the trailer, if I believe correctly, generates... In the trailer, it showed that his E generates 5 energy. And 5 anemo particles. So if you use 2 charges, you get 10 particles. But 70 energy cost is a lot. Because 10 anemo particles will give Xiao like 30 energy. If you have energy recharge, then it could work. But you'll want energy recharge on substats. If you're gonna go for energy recharge main stat Hourglass, then might as well just go for Ganyu, where you can go all attack, and then she just does absolutely nuts stuff. And also the problem with his ult is he as I said, he can't generate his ult alone. Not at all. So he needs other characters to help him, specifically Anemo characters. Basically, and the only ones that fit are Jean and Sucrose from what I've heard, because Venti seems to not really work well with him, because Venti's ult puts the enemies in the air, and that kind of makes the hitbox weird for Xiao. Yeah, so the only ones that work with him are Jean and Sucrose. And basically, if you're using Sucrose, you also need a really nice healer, like maybe Xingqiu. But then Xingqiu comes in with kind of a problem, because you're going to be plunging with Xiao, C0. But Xingqiu's heals activate on his when you left click, when you do normal attacks. But you want to do plunge attacks. You see how like counterintuitive Xiao is? He's just I just don't see him being good, honestly. Really. Like he just, and also the fact that he's Anemo damage as well. It kind of screws him over, because he's the kind of character that you don't want to switch. But Anemo's way of damaging is to swirl, which you need to switch for that. So that's also counterintuitive. Xiao just doesn't seem that great to me, because it's very limiting. At C0, you basically just, when you go into his ult, you plunge, and then when you're out of his ult, you E 2 times. And then what are you gonna do after that? Nothing. I mean, you can normal attack, sure, but when there are characters like Ganyu and Klee that exist that can just charge attack and do 5 million damage every second, there's really no reason to get Xiao. Xiao's just gonna bring you down, just especially when Ganyu's the current banner. And then Hu Tao is completely busted. Hu Tao is just completely busted. She's gonna be easily the highest DPS character in the game when she comes out. And now his passives. Xiao's passives. While under the effects of Bane of All Evil, all damage dealt by Xiao increases by 5%. That's great. It sounds great, right? Except for the fact that this 25% damage bonus will only last you like very little time. Because it starts at 5% and then it increases every 5%. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 15 seconds have already 12 or 15 seconds. Hold on. 5, 10, 15, 20. Yeah, 12 seconds have already passed. So the damage bonus 25% that you're getting is really only the last 3 seconds. You only get this 25% damage bonus for 3 seconds. This sounds good, but then when you compare it to let's say Ganyu's passive, after firing a Frostbreak arrow, the crit rate of subsequent Frostbreaks, basically she gets permanent 20% crit rate, which is just humongous, because this is just unconditional. You don't need to activate her ult or anything. This is just there. And then she also has this, which grants a 20% damage bonus as long as the ult is active. But the difference is her ult is so easy to get because it generates so much energy. Her ult can actually generate energy. Whereas Xiao, he will be super struggling with his ult. You'll also be struggling with his health as well, unless you have like a really good healer. And yeah, his second passive, using the E, increases the damage of next E by 15%. It's nice. It's nice. The only problem is at C0, you have 2 charges. You use one, you get 15%, and that's over. You're not gonna have a max. You're not even gonna get close to 3 stacks. At most, you could try to manipulate it to get 2 stacks, but I honestly just don't see it happening. Even practically, you won't even get 2 stacks on this. You'll get only 1 stack. Xiao is a character that really needs his C6. Otherwise, he's absolutely garbage, in my opinion. I think he's actually one of the worst 5 stars so far in the game. Just because of how expensive he is to build, how ridiculously demanding he is. It's just, he's not worth it at all, especially when characters like Ganyu exist. I really have to put this point forward. Even if they buff him, like let's say they let Xiao generate his energy during the ult, he'll be able to get his ult uptime a lot. But then there's the problem of if his ult is up a lot, then his HP drain is something very annoying to deal with. Xingqiu, I'm actually kind of afraid because not only does his heals need to be normal attack, he might not heal enough. You could use Barbara, but you're also wetting yourself, which makes you vulnerable to Electro Charge and Floor 11 of Abyss. Bennett can heal only up to 70%, so your Xiao is going to be in dangerous territory all the time. The only healer and support that really works with Xiao is Jean. And Jean is another 5 star. You need another 5 star for Xiao to actually work, which is nuts. You can't expect free-to-plays to have that. Now, of course, at C6, he's very, very nice. He's pretty dang good. But he needs a C6, otherwise he's absolutely terrible. He really is terrible. And then his banner as well. His banner, Xinyan. Xinyan is kind of awkward, honestly. You want her C2 for her to work really well. At C0, Xinyan's also fine, but you could really just use Xiangling and Bennett instead, I'll be honest. She's kind of clunky. And then Diona, especially with the Noelle buff, Diona is actually pretty irrelevant right now because her shield breaks way too fast. Her heal is pretty... how do I say this? Not that up to par. I just don't really like Diona. Beidou is absolutely amazing though. Beidou is incredible. And Xiao just completely falls when you compare him to like other 5-star characters such as Ganyu that exist right now. And then Hu Tao is going to make Xiao look even worse because Hu Tao is going to be the most busted unit ever aside from Venti. So yeah. That's all I wanted to say about Xiao. Just that don't get too hyped about Xiao, and if you can, if you're saving for Xiao right now, just summon for Ganyu. There is no way I see Xiao being really good for free-to-play players. Unless they make his HP drain lower, his energy cost to 60, and then his E cooldown to 8 seconds. He really needs drastic buffs. Otherwise, he's just not worth it for free-to-play players at all. And also the fact that there's no good spear weapons that are not 5 stars either, it just makes him even worse. I actually think that Zhongli with the buffs is gonna be way more exciting. Zhongli with the buffs is going to be way better than Xiao, just for general use. Overall, I'm just pretty disappointed with Xiao. Because looking at his kit, it doesn't seem like he's very good at all. As a free-to-play, you will have an extremely hard time trying to play with him. Unless you have Jean, which as a free-to-play you can't really expect. So yeah, I guess that's it for my video. When Xiao does come out, I will see whether I'm right or not. I'm thinking that they will buff Xiao on release because right now, I think miHoYo probably realizes how underwhelming Xiao is, and they probably don't want another Zhongli massacre again. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the final product of Xiao is. But as of right now, I think that even with Xiao buffs, summon on Ganyu or say for Hu Tao, do not summon for Xiao. And that's it for the video. I hope you guys found this helpful. I really just don't think that Xiao is worth it, even though if he is very good damage, because he's not sustainable at all for free-to-play players. He's one of the hardest characters, if not the hardest character to actually play in the game, because you need another 5-star for him to work. His weapons suck, unless you have the 5-star weapons. And yeah, that's just about it. So